If you don't know, I don't know where to look actually. So first of all, I genuinely don't know where to look. Like, I know the camera's right there. Yeah, I know the camera's right there, but it's like I have a hard time looking at the camera. I don't know. But anyways, if you don't know me, my name is Zoey Rachelle, and I wrote a poetry book called The Chaos Within, and I published it when I was 17. I am now 19, and yeah. So today I'm going to be reading poetry from my book. On YouTube here, YouTube Shorts, on TikTok, a little bit on Instagram, I read my poetry. Like, I make videos reading off my poetry, but I never go into depth about what they mean to me or why I wrote them or anything. And so today I wanted to kind of share some, I guess. Like, obviously there's 300 poems in this book, you know? So it's not like I'm gonna get through every single one. Like, I doubt I'm even gonna get past like 5 because I talk a lot. I don't really talk a lot, actually. But I do talk a lot in these videos. Anyways. So I think that I'm just going to like randomly select them, you know? And if I like it, I will read out the poem and I will explain some of the background and some of what I wrote it about. Also, just a disclaimer, like, keep in mind, I started writing poetry whenever I was like 13, right? And so like these first few poems and stuff, you know, they're from when I was like 13, 14. And I'm now 19, so, you know, it's been a minute. You know, it's been a minute. I don't really remember, like, obviously, not obvious. I say obviously way too much. Just whatever. But I know I can read them and know what they're about. I just don't always fully know who they were about, I guess. Like, if I wrote a poem about like someone or some situation in particular, like, I don't name drop, I don't give much information on like who I wrote them about, but whenever I read my poems back, I can't always tell if it's like I'm talking about a friendship or a family relationship or like that type of thing. Like, I don't really know fully for some of them, but you know, we'll do our best, I guess. Okay, I randomly selected a poem, and I'm going to read, and so I think I'm gonna read both pages and then, you know, decide which one I want to read. So I'm gonna read this one. It's kind of short, it's like just a little bit, but it says, each morning you awake with a fresh sense of self-love and a newfound happiness that you believe will finally last. Then the moon comes, bringing the darkness with it, and the detrimental cycle begins once more. So I feel like this is a slightly, like, obvious, but, like, not obvious, like, implication. Also, just another disclaimer, I say like and way too much, and someone did comment on my video and said that that's a sign of intelligence, which, like, thank you, but I am going to try to stop saying it because it gets really repetitive. So, the poem begins with, each morning you awake with a French... This is why I struggle with videos. It's because I stutter so much. But it's talking about, you know, like, waking up. And, like, honestly, I kind of love... I love this era of my life. Because it's, like, waking up with happiness and a sense of self-love, you know, newfound happiness that you believe will finally last. And so, you know, you wake up and you're happy and you're calm and, you know, you are ready to take on the day. But then it's like, by the time the moon comes, you know, by the time it's night, you are like deep in your thoughts, I guess. Like, I don't know what it is about freaking darkness, bro, but that moon, oh my goodness, that moon just like does something with mental health, brain, I swear. And you're just laying there in your bed at night and like overthinking or whatever. And so that's kind of what this is about. Like, it feels like this detrimental loop because it's like you wake up and you're happy and you're ready to take on the day, but then the second the darkness comes, your brain's dark with it or whatever. Which, like, honestly, I kind of looking back like that era. Which, like, I definitely don't like that era. Like, ideally, you'd want to be happy, like, all of the time. Or not all of the time, but, like, a good majority of the time, you know? At least have happy days, you know? But, like, I mean, I do like it better than later, after I wrote this poem, experiencing, like, the day is dark and the night's happy. I feel like that's the era I'm in right now. But, you know, it's okay. Because we're gonna get through it. Okay, this poem, okay. I actually was hesitant on putting this poem in because I kind of felt like it would be misunderstood. Like, I feel like a lot of my poems, I was kind of like, should I put this in there? Just because, like, especially with book 1, because I was scared of, like, how I would be perceived and that type of thing. But honestly, it's just, like, if you really think about it, it's one poem. You know, it's a poem that I most likely wrote at 2 a.m. It's not reflective of, like, who I am as a person at all. You know, it's like, I mean, obviously these poems are about, like, emotions and experiences that I've experienced. But, I mean, I wrote them at a dark mindset at 2 a.m., midnight. You know, and so it's like, I am more than just my poems, obviously. But, you know, it's okay. That was totally off track. But anyways, it says, with time, I have realized that no one really cares. This may sound harsh, but it holds a large amount of truth. People do not pay attention to the change of your appearance any more than they do the difference in your behavior. They are not attentive to small details that you deem significant, and they do not care enough to notice large changes in your personality either. Though I have also found the idea of this to be a little freeing, because if no one cares about me, then why should I care about their impossible expectations? Live your life how you want to live it. And so, the beginning is obviously talking about, I say obviously so much. I'm sorry. But, the beginning is talking about feeling invisible, I guess. Feeling like no one really cares. Which, like, honestly, I feel like that has to do a lot more with your brain than it does the people around you sometimes, like, at least in my experience. Like, people do care. It's just, like, my brain convinces me that they don't. But, like, it begins with feeling like you're invisible, like, no one really pays attention, like, no one really cares, which is honestly true for, like, the majority of people. And, like, not saying that, like, the majority of people are bad, like, but, like, the majority of people in your life aren't close enough to you, you know? Like, everyone you're around, like, especially when you're going to school, like, they're all kind of just acquaintances. So it's like they don't fully care about getting to, like, know you because you just don't, like, you know, you don't connect like that. But then it ends with talking about how you find that freeing because if no one cares about me, then why should I care about their expectations? And so it's like, I was kind of afraid to put this poem out just because I felt like I was being, like, harsh with it, I guess, because it's, like, talking about how no one cares, which, like, my poetry is very, like, on the side of the extremes, because, again, I write this at 2 a.m. I actually, book 2, I haven't really been writing at 2 a.m. I've been writing it during the day, but they're still depressing, you know, because it's, like, why not, honestly? But, yeah, this one's kind of, like, that was a loud truck. This one's kind of like a point in time where it's like I started to, like, when you're young, you don't, like, you haven't figured everything out yet. You're still, like, you're still a kid, you know? You're still, I don't know how to explain it. But, like, then you get older and you kind of realize that you're your own person. And you kind of, someone's here. But you kind of realize that you're your own person, and you, I'm sorry, that stressed me out. Do you ever get, like the fear of being perceived? Like, it's like you don't care that people know you just don't want them to know, I guess. It's like you don't care what they think, and it's like you're not necessarily like afraid of them, you just don't like them being around watching you, you know, you don't like being watched, you don't like being looked at, you don't like being perceived. It's like that's how I am, and so like I try to go places that like have nobody, but people are always everywhere because they exist in this world too, apparently. But anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking about. I genuinely don't know what he's doing, so I might end up moving, but I'm just like wasting time in the video because I'm like stressing. But anyways, it's kind of like realizing that you're your own person and that you don't have to live for everyone else. You know, it's like definitely being like the little like perfectionist type of kid who like, you know, the good kid who like did whatever they were told or whatever. It's kind of like growing up and realizing that you're your own person, and at the end of the day, like you need to live your life according to how you want to live it rather than living it for other people. And so I feel like that was what this poem was about. It was kind of like the beginning of my thoughts, like as far as that. So this one says, maybe happiness should not be confined to only the euphoric moments in life. Maybe happiness should be found within the joy of mundane things, singing in the shower, dancing in the rain. Maybe positivity relies on the little things that you choose to find significance within. So this one, just also like, side note, but not side note, is whenever writing this poem, like I get not really metaphorical, but like, you know, like you have a different voice and a different like self whenever you write poetry, I guess. And so I don't sing in the shower and I don't dance in the rain, but I think that they're like so cute aesthetic little things, you know, and I felt like they fit this poem. So like maybe I should take my own advice and start singing in the shower and dancing in the rain. But this poem is basically trying to like teach myself that you don't need things to be perfect to be happy. You don't need to have like huge positive things happening to you. You know, you don't have to have everything, all the perceived like perfection, I guess, everything that you want, all your dreams. You don't have to have all of that in order to be happy. It's like kind of me trying to find happiness in mundane things, you know, doing laundry, doing dishes, just living life, you know, going about your day. It's finding joy doing those things, which honestly, I really need to take my own advice. Like, I feel like the issue here is that I write poetry, and sometimes, like in this one, it's not incredibly depressing. It's good advice, but I just don't take it. Like, I feel like that's probably my issue, is I just need to take my own advice. I feel like that's a relatable thing. I feel like people give great advice and don't take it. This one. I don't want to read those. Okay, I think I'm gonna read both of these because I honestly like both of them. So the first one says, it took someone special for me to learn that you never want to live life in the perspective of a fly. When in any group, you are more so observing others rather than contributing to the conversation. When you allow people to treat you poorly whilst unapologetically squashing you like a bug. Thank you to the person who took me in and taught me how to be fierce while still containing kindness. So this one is basically, like, whenever, I feel like this is also very relatable, but whenever I was a kid, like, I was, like, the quiet kid, you know, and so it's, like, especially in, like, social situations, and in group settings, I wouldn't really talk, you know, it's, like, I never really contributed to the conversation. I don't really remember when I was really young, but, like, I mean, if we're thinking about, like middle school, a little bit younger, like anywhere from like 10 to like 15, which 15's not really young, but anyways, I was very quiet, and it's like, obviously I talked, like, I guess that's not obvious, but I did talk. I was just like shy, and not really shy, just like, it was hard for me to, I need to put my seat up. but it was hard for me to like contribute to conversations whenever I was in a group, and it still is that way. Like I genuinely don't understand how people talk in groups, because it's like everyone talks over each other, and it's like I feel like raising my hand, you know, like I have to like raise my hand like I'm in class, because it's like, how do you ever find a point to talk? Like everyone's talking, like how do you find your little like area of silence, you know, because it doesn't last long. So it's like I still don't understand that, but that's besides the point. It's basically like teaching me that like someone taught me that like I'm here too. I guess it was a friend. And I think I know who this one was about. But it was a good friend, and she taught me that like she like unintentionally taught me that you never want, like, it's not very fun to always live like a fly, you know, just observing and never contributing and like actually being in the conversation. But yeah, I also was hesitant about posting this one, or not posting, I guess, but publishing this one. I was hesitant about a lot of them, but this one is because it was like talking about a fly, and I couldn't tell if it was like stupid or not, or if it was like a good comparison. So yeah, this one, the next one says, at times it may seem impossible to escape the vicinity that contains your comfort, but you will never be able to live life to the fullest if you do not do things you are afraid to do. Sure, ships are safe staying in the harbor, but that is not what ships were made to do. So this one is about, I'm a very like anxious person. Oh my god, someone just opened their window. But anyways, they're probably watching me. But I'm a very anxious person. They have their phone propped up on their window, and I can't tell if they're videoing themselves or me. Because like my windows are not tinted at all. Like I really want, like every window except my front ones are tinted. Yeah, and so like I really want front tinted windows because I hate that people can see straight into my car. But I side-eyed him, and then he put his his like blind down. So I genuinely don't know if he was videoing me or not, but if he leaves his apartment, I genuinely might leave. Because I'm scared of people. Anyways, what were we doing? So I'm a very anxious person. Or I used to be more so than I am now. But I have a problem with like existing in spaces. You know, it's like I get that everyone else can exist, but can I exist here too? Like, but anyways, I'm an anxious person, obviously. And so one thing that I like is I'm very comfortable in my comfort zone. And so this was kind of like a poem that was encouraging me to leave my comfort zone, which I still haven't like very much so done. Like I very much love like staying in my comfort zone and just being calm and content. But I know that like outside of my comfort zone is where I will find the most happiness. And so I plan to travel. Like this isn't what the poem was about, but if I'm applying it to like my life today, I plan to travel within the next like year and a half. And so with that, I hate crowds, okay? I hate crowds and like very packed public spaces, but I wish to like travel around the world. And so, you know, airports are going to have to be a thing, which is going to be, you know, it's going to be a struggle. But I also like, I don't like new things. I don't like change. I don't like, you know, I don't know. And so it's just like, I guess we're just going to have to get over it. You know, it's like, I need to take this advice. Like, sure, ships are safe staying in the harbor. Right here is safe, but I'm not meant to be right here. You know, I'm meant to travel the world. I'm meant to exist everywhere, and, you know, maybe one day settle down in some random place that I don't even know of yet, you know? Maybe I'll settle down in multiple places, you know? It's like, I want to live life. And I can't let my fear stop me. You can't let your fear stop you in either. Like, I never thought that I would be posting. If you asked me a year ago, I would have said that I would never in my life. Actually, a year ago, I was posting. Like 2 or 3 years ago then. I would have never been caught dead recording a video. But here I am today, doing what I was and still am afraid to do. So do what you're afraid to do. That is the lesson of today, I suppose. I love this one too. I have recently realized, it actually doesn't say that. See, I switch words around. I don't know what that is, but I switch words around whenever I read poetry. But anyways, I realized recently that people have a habit of depending on numbers to determine their worth. As children, we are only good enough if we receive a high number on the papers we are forced to complete. As teens, we are only good enough if the number on the scale is low, if the number on the weights is higher than everyone else. As we grow older, we are only good enough if the number on our paycheck is high enough to have money to waste on useless name brand items. I long for the day that society no longer requires numbers to measure the value of people's worth. Which, like, this one is so true. Like, judging at, like, the part of the book this is in, I probably wrote this when I was, like, 16. But this is so true. Like, whenever you're a kid, you are seen as, like, good enough, you know, if you make high scores on your tests and your assignments in school, if you have a high number of friends. And then it's like, as you become a teen, you become good enough if you know, don't, like, as typically for females, it's more like if you weigh less, you know, and typically for males, it's like if you lift, like, strong weights, which, like, that's just stereotypical. Like, you can lift weights, like, women can lift weights too, like, whatever, but, like, stereotypically, like, that's what it tends to be. And then whenever you're adults, you know, your paycheck, you have to be making a lot of money in order to be good enough, you know, and it's just like, and then social media, or do you have a big following, you know, as teens, and then when young adults, like, do you have a lot of followers, do you have a lot of likes and views and, like, all this, like, it's just like, I wish that society would just ignore numbers and just stop caring, because, like, numbers are literally just a man-made concept. Like, it's like, don't determine your worth on numbers and you're like, whether you're good enough. That bird is sitting on the fence across from me, and he just pooped, and I don't know why you need to note that, but that was mid-sentence. Oh my goodness. Live like a bird, honestly. Birds are free. I want to live like a bird. That was a side note. But yeah, don't depend your worth on numbers. Any numbers that I can think of. Like, maybe there's a number that's, like, a good thing and that you should depend your worth on. But, like, everything on my brain, like, don't depend your worth on numbers. Like, even if society wants you to, don't. It's not a good idea. It goes downhill very fast. Okay, I think this is gonna be the last poem. Actually, I think I'm gonna read one more. And so I kind of want to find a good one. Okay, I think I'm going to do this one last because I genuinely don't think that I've read this one for, like, out in the world, like, for social media yet. So this one says, the most toxic people are those who only choose to see you as your mental health. You finally make it over the mountain only for people to treat you as if you are still stuck at the bottom. The most toxic people are the ones who look at me and only see anxiety. This is your reminder that no matter what anyone else says, your mental health struggles do not define you. And so this one, it's like, I've genuinely, like, been stressed my entire life. It feels like that's all some people see me as. And that's, like, my identity to them. And that is partly my fault, just because it's like, I don't always express myself in a good way. Not necessarily that it's in a bad way, but just, like, I don't really show people who I am. Like, I don't really express myself around most people in this world, and it's like, it's not because they're mean or anything, it's just genuinely, like, it's just because I don't know if I just haven't met the right people. He opened his window again. I'm about to leave. But yeah, even though your mental health will determine a lot and it will be a struggle for you, it doesn't have to define you. And it doesn't have to be the only thing about you. You know, it doesn't have to be this huge decider of your entire life. Like, it's good to push past it. You know, I mean, as good as you can, you know. Don't let your mental health define you. Be who you want to be. live life to the fullest. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you so much for watching.